Good afternoon. I am Mr. Ish. We have a angles challenge video over here. We have a specific shape drawn over here. It's really called the chevron. This shape is called the chevron. We have these sides which are labeled, only two sides, 1 and 2 over here. We have an angle that's provided here at the top vertex. We have an angle of 40. We have to find the angle X, we have to find the angle Y, we have to find the angle A, and we have to find this angle A. How can you go about doing this? It's going to be a challenging question here indeed. This side right here has a length of 1. That side right there has a length of 2. This question over here can be drawn and can be completed in parts, in bits and pieces. What you can do over here is take this little bisecting line and draw it all the way down. So you're splitting the 40 degrees into 20 degrees. As you can see, it's been split. We know we have the side 2, we have the side 1, and then connect this right over here, and you've gotten a good right triangle forming over here. Everything has been symmetrically divided into two parts. If we know this right here is 20 degrees, we can use right triangle right over here and we can pluck it right out, and we're gonna just make it smaller. We're looking here at a 20 degrees, we're looking here at a 2. We can easily determine this length right over here because we know we have a right triangle, and what we have to do is for sure require a scientific calculator here. We have sine 20 degrees is going to equal to this side, we'll just call that, let's just call it B, is equal to B over 2. Based on this angle opposite to that divided by hypotenuse, and B is equal to 20 sine times 2, we have to do that. I get over here 0.684. This right here is 0.684, we can write it over here. 0.684. And then you know it only represents half of this entire base. If you multiply it by 2, you get this other part right here, 0.684. But when you multiply it by 2, you get a good length for this entire base. Whether we need it or not, we'll find out, but I'll put it over here. As this entire base on the bottom, I'm getting a good value over here to be 1.36888. 1.368, that's what I'm getting. So what do we have so far? We have this representation drawn. And what we can do now is start seeing if we can have enough information here to do anything with this. Anyhow, let's take this little triangle right over here and we'll bring that triangle out. What do we have here? We have a 0.684, we have a right triangle, we have a 1. It wouldn't be a bad idea to determine this angle right over here, and we can use the cosine formula and let this angle be whatever. We'll call this angle Z. Cosine Z is equal to adjacent divided by hypotenuse, which is just 0.684, and you know 0.684 divided by 1 is 0.684. Z is equal to inverse cosine of this 0.684, and let's bring in that value over here. I get an angle over here of 46.84. We're not going to do too much rounding over here, but now I've determined this angle right here to be 46.84 degrees. Let's erase some of this clutter, and I'm kind of realizing I didn't need this 1.368 here after all, and I'll erase it. Everything over here in terms of a good symmetry of these triangles should be mirrored on the right and on the left. If this is 46.84 degrees, this right here must be 46.84 degrees. This small triangle over here has an internal angle summation of 180. I have a 46.84, 46.84 minus these two from 180, and I'll get this angle right over here, which very well represents the X. So let's do that. 46.84 times 2 minus that from 180, I get 86.31. X over here is equal to 86.31. Now from this X I can easily determine the Y, because all of this represents a complete circle. I can minus 86.31 as a negative number, but from a positive 360, and I'll get a Y value here, 273.68 degrees. So we've gotten a good bit of information over here. Now we can do determination of A. It's not too hard. If I have a 20 over here, and now I've determined this Y value to be 273.68. If I were to bisect this across as I have right over here, and I were to divide 273.68 by 2, I can get both of these obtuse angles. So why don't we do this? 273.68 divided by 2, I get 136.84. This angle right here is 136.84. This angle here is 136.84 degrees. And now we have a good amount of information to determine this value right over here. I have a 20 plus 136.84 minus that from 180, and I'll get that A value over there. So I'll do 136.84 plus that 20, and I'll minus that from 180. I get an A value of 23.16 degrees. What I want to do now is draw a new representation and fill in all of this information, and I'll do that right over here for you, and then we'll do some checking of our information, make sure everything works, everything is right. Alright, I have everything drawn over here and everything looks like complete. I haven't skipped out on anything. Now each of these triangles individually should add up to 180. We can do some checking. We'll do 20 plus 136.84 plus 23.16, and we should have a good number here in terms of an internal summation of angles to be 180, and this is 180, this is 180, this right here should add up to 180. Let's check that. 86.31 plus 46.84 times 2, I get a 179.99, but you know, because of the decimal places, it's still good. 180. What I can do now as a final check, I can use this value right over here, 40, and then I can use the sum of this and the sum of this, and this larger triangle must add up to 180. I'll do 40 plus 23.16 plus 46.84 plus this plus that. So we do a 23.16 plus 46.84. I'll multiply that by 2, I get 140, then I add another 40 on top, I get 180. So everything is good. Our challenge has been solved. Y was equal to 273.68. X was equal to 86.31 degrees. A was equal to 23.16 degrees. And this right here is a shape which is called a chevron. I don't know if this is an official name or not, but in America or United States, they call this shape a chevron. And it is determined, the angles here have been determined. It was an interesting challenge. I hope you enjoyed this one. I can understand going back and forth doing the variety of procedures. It can be a little bit of confusing, but I believe everyone should be able to follow what I went through with this question through to completion. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.